loud. Hello there, it's Helen Pollock, the Content Doc here, and I'm thrilled to be joined by Carol Massay, the CEO of EasyBuild. Now, I'm in Leamington Spa today, and Carol is in Thrapston, so we're constrained a bit by the current circumstances, and we're using technology to have our interview today, so please bear with us if there are a few crackles or funny sounds along the way. Hi Carol, good to see you.
Oh, good morning, Helen. It's a pleasure. And yes, we are using technology with everyone working from home. So yeah, we can get through this.
So Carol, I wanted to ask you, what are the biggest issues facing the construction industry right now?
So as part of obviously the pandemic, construction companies have found themselves in a difficult situation, with a number of key projects being paused due to having to keep that social distancing being a challenge for contractors with the subcontractors and the individuals working on these projects. We did see at the early stage of lockdown that some construction sites were desperately still trying to get things maintained in terms of, productivity. But, like all things, it became evident that the risk was too high for them to maintain site presence, and also the logistics of staff having to travel on public transport to some of the bigger projects in London was just too big a risk to take. And as a result, majority of construction projects have now been put on pause, which is quite disappointing, but for obvious reasons, it's about the safety during this period in time.
Yeah, it's difficult times for everyone right now. So with that in mind, how can construction sector businesses mitigate against the current problems? And also, kind of looking to the future and a bit of light at the end of the tunnel, how do you think the new normal will look after lockdown has been lifted?
Well, I think this has been an eye-opener. No one predicted that, projects would be paused. Lots of people would be, virtually not going to work and locked down. Businesses, and a number of businesses, business continuity planning. Okay, how do we switch key workers to actually being able to keep some kind of business as usual, with activities taking place from home? Now, looking at how some business in construction work, very much reliant on the post turning up each morning, very much reliant on, interacting with departments. And that's been a little bit of a challenge or an eye-opener. So in terms of how the construction businesses have had to look inwardly on how they deal with things in key departments has been somewhat of a challenge. Some have been able to look at some key functions such as, estimating department, commercial team, and most importantly, the finance departments, on how they can maintain a level of operation. So if you look at estimating for projects, there's some large tenders that are out there that, contractors would have already received and would be fully underway in terms of pricing, and being able to do that remotely but still have access to key business information to help with the pricing. Some businesses has found that troublesome, in that accessing on shared drives, being able to interact with others has been an issue. At the same time, looking at the finance team are very much dependent on posts coming in. So your supply chain bringing multitudes of invoices. I've heard some businesses that, the Royal Mail have turned up, nobody at these locked offices, mail going back. and businesses are obviously wanting to keep the relationship with their supply chain and want to make sure that payments are being made. So that's been, you know, an eye-opener. And, you know, businesses are then looking at, well, how can we mitigate this going forward? Because we still want to be able to at least function in a way that we don't have, you know, a considerable backlog when the restrictions are lifted. So, you know, there's been a lot of things that businesses have had challenges with, and it has been, you know, a time for like IT directors, commercial and MDs to sit down and think, well, how can we look at our business in a way that if this occurs, you know, later on in the year, that we can make sure that our business is in place to take people back, you know, office people back home without there being a problem in terms of connectivity.
Some pause for thought there. Thank you, Carol. So it's week 1 after lockdown is lifted. What should businesses be doing that first week to kickstart the return to business as usual?
Well, the important thing is not waiting for week 1. You know, we could be told next week that the government's got it all lined up and what needs to happen in terms of, you know, people going back to some sort of normality. Businesses need to be thinking now, in the days and weeks ahead, rather than, right, okay, Monday morning, this is what we're going to do. And it becomes a bit erratic. And I know that a lot of organisations are thinking long term about, okay, which projects, which sites can we actually open up? What key personnel, what element of the project can we do that, you know, social distancing won't be an issue? What equipment will we need, i.e. personal protective equipment for those staff? And also, how are we going to, you know, as a business, get information back into the office rather than having people having to ferry paperwork back and forth? So it's, week 1 will be, okay, what is necessary from an operational perspective out on site, but also back office. Do we need everyone back in, or should we look at key functions being able to go back into the office with a percentage of the other staff based still from home? Because what this has also shown, Helen, is that, you know, the working from home can work. You know, the need for people to be, you know, doing an hour, 2 hour, sometimes 4 hour round trip to the office is now not an essential way of being able to deliver your role in your organisation. It can be done remotely. There are still things that need to be done on systems to make it even more slicker, but you know, from a week 1 perspective, it's all about getting the business in a place where dealing with the key functions operationally and back office to help the business start to get back on track. And rest assured, there will be a backlog of things that need to be done, you know, i.e. invoicing and picking up the communication with other emails or things that have been missed.
That's great. Thank you, Carol. There's some really good tips there for businesses who want to avoid having a massive backlog when this lockdown is lifted. Thank you so much. So it would be a good time to ask you, Carol, how does EasyBuild help construction sector businesses in good times and bad?
So EasyBuild is a construction software specific for construction. It was built in a construction business, so everything in its DNA is for the whole life cycle of a construction project. So, you know, businesses can see that, you know, within the application, it, from cradle to grave, it does everything that they would need, from being able to see the original valuation budget of the project, to track in the cost, labour, plant, material, real time into the system, which gives up-to-date visibility for the commercial team and also the finance department. So, you know, it helps businesses. It gives that visibility and control, and it has controls, and it has key stages of approval, authorization, all the things that, you know, businesses, you know, would need basically. So during, you know, the good times, you know, a system like that helps you to maintain all the information that you need to support getting paid for projects, but also looking at the profitability of the business. And how we help businesses is actually reaching to that gold, you know, from moving them from legacy systems or from, you know, paper based, you know, running their business on spreadsheets, to a fully interoperable solution that connects everything together from cradle to grave, and information that's available. And that's key, because margins are very tight in the construction sector. So ensuring that you can see information in real time makes it very, very important for the commercial team to make the right decisions. And, you know, if there's variations to projects, they can substantiate that with knowing that they've got the information available. So we help businesses to get to that gold. And why wouldn't you? If you're an organization that is, you know, wanting to build and, you know, future proof not only what you do out operationally, so you're a brand in your own right, you want to secure work, but you want to be able to demonstrate to the client that you're in control of information, that you can prove to them that you're being the most efficient that you can be in terms of how you're delivering those multi-million-pound contracts. And, you know, with our experience, over 150 plus year of combined experience within our team, we're able to articulate and speak to the commercial team, the finance team, the procurement team, and, you know, from an operational side, how to improve how they do things on a project.
So there are plenty of finance software providers, Carol. What's different about EasyBuild?
So again, to reiterate, we were designed within a construction business. So it wasn't somebody woke up one morning and said, oh, I fancy developing construction. It was born within, you know, understanding each department's need. And it was, you know, developed understanding that on a monthly basis, cost value reconciliation, CVRs are produced. Payroll cost is captured, so weekly timesheets captured, compliance to sending information out to HMRC. So it provides everything that a business would need. And not only that, it's something where if you are a construction business and you are looking at, you know, looking into the future, and you could be a small business that says, well, you know what, I want to ensure that I start on the right platform and have all the processes and systems in place to enable my business to grow. Well, EasyBuild's all about taking you on that journey. And we have a number of customers that, you know, when they've signed up, they didn't have the cash flow to say, well, I'm going to make that investment. And because they're at the start of actually trying to prove themselves to bigger clients. And we gave them the model that allowed them to come on board. And now they are multi-million-pound business and contractors in their own right that have been on that journey, but started on the right footing.
So EasyBuild is a fairly small company. Can you really compete with the bigger providers?
Absolutely. Yes, we may not be as big as some of the competitors out there, but what we do have is a portfolio of some very, very big named brand contractors within our suite that are using our software to underpin their business. And what we do, and we pride ourselves, is listening to our customers and building that relationship from the very start of that sales process. It's very much, we want to understand what your day-to-day challenges are. At the end of the day, we give the customer the respect that they've come to us to look for help. And we respect that throughout the sales process until we're successful in, getting the customer on board as part of the EasyBuild family. During the delivery process, we ensure that we understand how they do certain things currently and making sure that we design the system in terms of the way we train the users to use it in various departments. And it doesn't stop there. Once they've gone live, we're there hand-holding, ensuring that the user adoption is in place, their first payment runs, their first making tax digital return, all the things that will become, all now new in a new system. And like any businesses, transition and change is difficult for some individuals, but what we've done is made sure that, we support the business in supporting their teams to empower them that this change is for the benefit of the business going forward and long term. And it helps them from a staff perspective, give them, more confidence that rather than having to go to a file, go to different places to get information, the system is designed to provide the information in one full screen.
And how does EasyBuild offer support, Carol? Because I know many of us are familiar with phoning a large software company and never speaking to the same person, feeling like they're not having their problems addressed. So how does EasyBuild deal with the support queries after customers have had the system implemented?
So support is very important to us, and we have a process where after an implementation that our support team then become involved. Now we provide online portal, which is no different to any other service provider where you can log a request, but we also then have the process where you can pick up the phone and discuss an issue that you may have. Now we've got teams of experts that can deal with support calls on a day-to-day basis, and we also we have individuals like myself. If I'm available, I pick up the phone and the customer wants to help, I'll do my bit to make sure that I guide them in the right direction, because we understand how important the system is to an organization. And it's for us, it's about giving that customer the confidence that we are here to help them and support long term. And one of the things we have as well is our customer relationship department, and we've got an executive there that deals with on a regular basis, dealing with and engaging with our clients. Turn up for a cup of coffee just to sit down, how are things going on. And during this lockdown period, it's been great because he's been able to pick up the actually organised team meetings with customers as part of his introduction, and he's been having a great time speaking with clients, understanding how they're managing during this time, and actually tapping in and finding out, well, what's your aspiration? What are things that has given you now time as a business, as individual, to think about that maybe something you want to consider when business has got back to normal. So we're all about the long-term journey with our customer, long-term relationship, and at the end of the day, we are looking to bring more customers on board. And I'm happy to say that we can ask customers to give us references at the drop of the hat without there being any hesitation or doubt, which is in these days something to be very proud of, and we are.
Definitely. I think particularly as technology is often seen as in some way diminishing human connections, but actually for EasyBuild, it seems like the opposite is true. So moving on, you referred to something which I'd like to pick up in a bit more detail. So what positives in terms of the way we've had to work during this crisis will continue after the pandemic is long gone?
So, important thing, and if I reflect on us as a business and my team, we used to use an internal chat, before the lockdown, and within 3 days of everyone working from home, we introduced Teams. And with immediate effect, I said, we need to use it, communicate with everyone, and the video needs to go on as well so that we can see each other, feel like we're, interacting. And that has been absolutely, a worthwhile change for our business, and that will continue in terms of our meetings. Can be more focused, and we can have them more regularly, or if we want to deal with a matter rather than an email being sent, you can actually engage as if you were picking up the phone and deal with it straight away. So from a business perspective, we've seen that the engagement process for us has been great. For external dealing with customers, we've picked up a number of new deals during this lockdown. Yeah, we've signed up new customers, and some of the other implementations, we've been dealing with customers and they want to progress, and we've been using the technology of Teams to deliver some of the training courses, some of the key things to make the projects move forward so it can work. Before it was all about getting in the car, driving, sitting in a room, but we've shown that implementations don't have to be all about face-to-face. Well, actually, you are being face-to-face. I'm talking to you from your office. It's no different. It can work. And just think of what we're doing to the environment at the end of the day. And I'm a strong believer that people will go the extra mile when they're in the comfort of their own environment, in terms of their tasks that they need to do when they don't have to think about long journeys in the car.
Great. Thank you very much, Carol.